We're just about ready to begin the DePaul Blue Demons news conference. Coach Bruno will be joining us shortly. A little information to get you set up for the news conference. As usual, we'd like to ask as a courtesy to our student athletes and coach that you be sure that you turn your cell phones to off. We ask for your name and your affiliation the first time that you make or ask a question. We'd also like to ask a little bit of help since we are transcribing the comments remotely. It's very important for the ASAP people to know who's asking the questions the first time around. So please give your name and your affiliation. After that's over, you don't need to give your name and affiliation again. When we bring our student athletes up here in a few moments, we'll have 3 young ladies, and it's very important that if you want any or all of them, please give the order that you'd like to have them answer their questions in. And if you'll do that, it makes it much better for the comments and question responses to be written out and identify the student athlete who answers them. Coach is on his way. We should be starting here momentarily. We're now joined by Blue Demons coach Doug Bruno. Coach, your thoughts about the upcoming games?
We're excited to be here. I'm blessed to coach a great group of young women led by our seniors that you'll probably meet in a few minutes, Shanice Jenkins and Megan Petcoa. Oregon State's a really, really good basketball team. They've made that statement by winning the Pac-12 tournament and tying for the first place in the regular season. They just have an excellent, excellent basketball team. So we know that at this point in time of the year, though, every single team you're going to play against is very, very talented and very good. And Oregon State is certainly one of the best teams in the country. Also, would like to just thank the people of Dallas for stepping up to host this event and get ready to host the championship next year. The Final Four, I believe, is here next year. So I really appreciate all the hard work that goes into that because our own DePaul people work very, very hard to host NCAA events every time they have the opportunity to. So thank you for all the hard work that goes into this.
Okay, we'll take questions from the floor. Please give your name and affiliation the first time around. On the front right.
Coach Stephen Harkins from the AP in Dallas. A lot of people, if they said there's a team in this regional right now that's been to 14 straight NCAA tournaments, most people would probably think automatically Baylor instead of DePaul. What does it say, though, about the consistency your program has had and just to be here at this point again?
It says a lot about my staff, my players, my great administration. Jeannie Lenti-Pensetto's here in the room. Father Dennis, I have a great administration, I have a great staff. And our players through the years have worked very, very hard to put themselves in position to earn their way into this tournament for 14 consecutive seasons. You know, every season is a new season, every team's a new team, every game has a life of its own, every season has a life of its own, every tournament has a life of its own. So it's our jobs now just to keep the players focused and just keep focusing on one game, one win in a row. And yet I'm still proud of the fact that we're one of 6 teams in the nation, only 6 teams that have gone to 14 straight. And that other teams are very talented teams that you all recognize as UConn and Notre Dame and Stanford and Tennessee and ourselves in Oklahoma. So it's hard to do that. But in women's basketball, if you don't win the national championship, nobody knows who you are. So basically, and that's not a function of us at DePaul or a function of anybody else. That's a function of our great sport that probably should be covered a little bit better.
Got a question on the outside right.
Hey, Coach. Ron Callan with 1190 KEX in Portland, Oregon. Have you seen a team like Oregon State this season, a team with a traditional post a big like a Ruth Hamblin? Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Oregon is really very strong because they have the great inside presence of Ruth, and they have the perimeter players that have size and the ability to shoot the ball and great guard skills. So they're really guard skills in big guards. They have big guards that can shoot the ball. All coaches and everybody loves to talk about spacing. Without the ability to make a three, there is no spacing. So Oregon State has the ability to space the floor. Regarding having seen people like this, well, Brianna Stewart's pretty good. You know, over at Notre Dame, they got a kid pretty good named Turner. You know, Baylor has three. They are a really, really strong big team, and Baylor is another team that's in some ways similar, because they're strong inside and they've got very, very good guard play as well. So, you know, and we've played Baylor, we've played Notre Dame, and we've played UConn. So I would like to think that we probably have seen, and probably the only team that we haven't seen that has this kind of makeup is South Carolina. And but there are those, and it's you know, they're all still playing. I mean, they're all there's a reason.
Got a question on the left front.
Gina Mizell with the Oregonian. Doug, Oregon State's defense has kind of been their MO all season. You guys obviously score a ton of points, but just what's unique about the way that Oregon State plays? Because it's not a pressure-heavy defense. They just play really solid positions. So what have you seen maybe from their scheme that is unique compared to some other teams?
They play very intelligent basketball, keep their own man in front of them. They don't help, which is a great way to be able to play defense. If you don't have to give help and own your own matchup, and if you get beat, you got a 6'6" shot blocker sitting in the back waiting to make things messy. So it's, you know, that's why they're a really, really good defensive basketball team. There's other teams that guard on the perimeter probably equal to Oregon State, but they don't always have the person in the back line to be able to make sure that everything gets cleaned up.
Question on the outside right.
Chuck Carlton, Dallas Morning News. Doug, just looking at the numbers, I mean, you're one of the nation leaders in assists, and part of that comes from style of play, but also it's kind of a mindset in terms of sharing the ball movement, that sort of thing, when you're just right behind UConn and Baylor in that category. Where does that come from with this team?
I think it always comes from the culture you create in your program. And the essence to me of basketball is sharing the basketball. The best teams year in and year out at any level are sharing teams. And so I just think it's something we create as a culture. It's something we do recruit, visual athleticism, that have the players that have the ability to pass. It's just not even a discussion point that you're going to hit the open woman. You're going to hit the open woman with precision, with touch, and on time and on target. So there's more to it than just hitting the open woman. So it's just something that if there's one thing that we pound into our players, it's that this whole sport is about sharing the ball. And the best teams, I'm looking out here at Joe Poncello, he played on one of the best men's team at DePaul University ever, and they were a great sharing team. And you just look at teams year in, year out at any level, and the best sharing teams are usually the best teams.
Questions for Coach? Another question on the outside right.
Doug, obviously you've seen, as you just outlined, best teams in the country, the number one seeds, 3 of the 4 number one seeds. Just curious, Baylor specifically in this region, while you're focused on Oregon State, if, you know, looking back at that Baylor game, are there any lessons you take from it in terms of maybe how to play them if you meet them again at some point?
Well, I'm not even going to discuss playing Baylor because that's foolishness for my mind to go there. Regarding my evaluation of Baylor as a program from having played them on November 22nd, the day that Kennedy got shot here, we flew out of Love's Field. We flew out of Love's Field after they beat us, But at any rate, there's a lot of people that I said that to them that didn't know what I was talking about, all right? They didn't know what I was referencing. But at any rate, it looks like you guys are old enough to remember, all right? So at any rate, Baylor is big. You know, Baylor is a big, strong basketball team, so she can attack you inside, but they also have great guard play with Johnson, who leads the nation in assists, I believe. And then they also have Lexus Jones, and they have the Wallace kid. You know, those are three really good guards. And they also have a junkyard dog in Nina Davis, who's an All-American. And they also have, you know, they also have, I don't even know what's happened to the, you know, the shooter kid from Florida that didn't play against us. You know, and I can't even think of her name right now, but she's, you know, what's her name? Tell me. Yeah, Prince. Is she back? Because she didn't play against us on the 22nd of November. So, I mean, that gives them a lot of similarities to Oregon State. All right? I mean, they're both very good on the perimeter, and they're both very good inside. Probably Baylor has more big kids that they can go to inside, but that's still, you can't keep them all on the floor at the same time anyway. So,
Question on the front right.
Back to Oregon State, when you look at what Oregon State, you know, 6 years ago when the coach comes in, he's basically having to build a team, and to be to where they are now, I mean, how much do you know about, how much are you familiar with their coach and just respect what he's been able to do with that program in such a short period of time?
I think Scott's a great coach, and I thought he's a great coach since he got there. He's had this going for 2-3 years, and I think he stamped his, you know, his personality on it. This is a team. These are his recruits, and you know, recruiting is the name of the game, and he's identified what he's looking for, and he's got himself a great big player in Ruth, who's from Canada, and then Weiss and Weissner are just really special players. And Hanson's a really good player. I mean, people forget about her, and she's a really good basketball player as well. So this is just I think Scott does a really, really excellent job.
We have time for one final question. On the right front.
Doug, how much do you see the Oregon State game as being a contrast in styles, as to who can kind of impose their will? Because you obviously like to push the ball. I think they would want a more half-court serve game. That's where their coach was hinting at.
Well, I think that's just about every single game you play. I think every coach that really gets their team to any certain level of point creates a style. And you always want to be able to play your style. One of the things that I think that we've been pretty good at DePaul is understanding that you just don't win by running. Yes, we can get up and go, but we've known for a long, long time that you have to compete in the half court. If you can run 35 out of 100 possessions, that's an awful lot of running. You're still in the half court 65 times. And that's if you're running a lot. So I think we've tried to create a basketball program that understands how to go in the full court, but also how to go in the half court. So I think we will be prepared. So it's not just a matter of imposing wills, if you will, as much as, you know, players being able to just figure out on the fly what's there to be taken and what's there to be, you know, know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Share the ball or shoot the ball. You still got to make shots. You got to get shots, you got to make shots, and that's on both sides. It doesn't matter if you're Oregon State or DePaul. You got to get good shots, you got to make good shots.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody, for covering women's hoops.
Good luck tomorrow, Coach.
Thanks.
I got your text, and let's plan on dinner. We'll talk. Terry, we need some reporters to show up. We need somebody to show up to ask questions. Yeah. Okay, our student athletes are on the way. They should be here in a moment or two. Again, if you would, when you ask your questions, if you would like to have each of the three student athletes answer the question, please give the order that you'd like to have them answer the question so that we'll be able to identify the speaker on the notes. we're now joined by our student athletes from DePaul, Shanice Jenkins, Megan Padokwa, and Jessica January. Ladies, we'll take questions from the floor. We've got a question on the outside left.
Zach Holden, the DePaulia. What's been the vibe of the team since landing?
I think we've just been really excited to be here. It's a new opportunity for us, and I think it's a new experience for a lot of the girls on our team. So I think we're all just really excited.
Got a question on the left, then we'll come back to the right.
Megan, you just mentioned that this is a new opportunity for a lot of players, but this is a program that's been to the NCAA tournament 14 years in a row. So how does that experience of consistently being in the tournament, how does that help going into the Sweet 16 now?
I think it helped us in definitely the first couple rounds of this, just having Shanice and Jess and I here. We've been to 3 before for me and Trix and 2 for Jess. So I think we just weren't as nervous going into those first 2 games, and we knew what it took to win. And then for experience for the Sweet 16, we went, my sophomore year we went, and we didn't perform how we would have wanted to, and I think we were too excited from just being there that we weren't really focused on the game. So I think the experience that we have, we'll be able to, teach our younger players and, try to get them ready for this game.
Question on the aisle.
Chuck Carlton, Dallas Morning News, for both Shanice and Jessica. Shanice first. Just the mindset goes with, you guys averaging more than 20 assists a game and sharing the ball. Coach Bruno was talking about it's not just pushing the ball, but it's also making the right pass at the right time so somebody can convert. So how has that kind of worked into your style of play this year?
It's played a tremendous part in all of our success this year. Even in lost games, we still have a lot of assists, and I think Coach has done a really good job of instilling into us to be selfless and to be unselfish and to just share the ball, because the more you share the ball, the more yourself and your teammates are open, and it kind of confuses the defense on who to guard, really, but at the same time, I think no one, really wants to take all of the light, as you would say, to score all the points. Everyone is pretty much unselfish and willing to share the ball, and that's what DePaul ball is all about. So.
Yeah, like Shanice said, Coach has told us that we have the greenest green light in America. So that means if we're open, we're able to shoot. But also, if we're not open, that means the open woman needs to get the ball. And that's just what DePaul ball is, and that's what we try to do.
Question on the right rear.
Hi, guys. Ron Callan with 1190 KEX in Portland, Oregon. Megan, talk about, you played against some of the top players in the country. You guys' schedule is pretty impressive. But talk about Ruth Hamblin, what you've seen on tape, her defensive style, and really the whole defensive style of the Beavers.
They're an aggressive, man-to-man defense. They're really good at owning their own matchup. And from our defensive perspective, obviously Hamlin's a really great post. I'm sure any team in the country would love to have her. She catches it high, she keeps it high, she finishes. So she's really going to be a tough matchup for us, as is all of their players. And then we're just going to try to, have to make them, own their matchup. Like I said, they try to do that, so hopefully, we can try to get around them, find some open shots, create some open shots for our teammates.
Question on the front right.
Stephen Hawkins with the AP, Jessica, and then Shanice. Just talk about, you guys have faced 3 of the number 1 seeds that are in this tournament at some point this year. Talk about that experience and how that helps when you get to this time of the year having played those kind of teams.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps a lot. We played those teams earlier in the season, and I think it just gives us the experience of playing against those types of players and how good they really are, and then also just the confidence in ourselves. When we played Notre Dame, we lost by 5. We played Baylor pretty close, even though we didn't perform as well, and then we were pretty even with UConn at the half. So I think that just lets us know how good of a team we can be when we play the best that we can.
Yeah, just to branch off what Jessica said, we definitely know that we can play with the best there is in the country, and we're just really trying to prove that to ourselves and to our team and to everyone else that's watching, and just to realize that that even though we lost those games, they were definitely learning experiences that helped us gain confidence, like Jess said, and to move forward, we realize now what we have to do in order to get to the next level.
Further questions for our student athletes? On the outside right.
For both Shanice and for Megan. Shanice first, what do you remember about that Baylor game? Obviously, you're focused on Oregon State, but you know, Coach Bruno was even talking about how he was referencing Kennedy's assassination on that day or something like that. But I was just wondering what you remember about playing Baylor and any lessons from that game.
From playing Baylor, I sort of remember that we didn't really execute what we were set out to do. I think Baylor got a lot of second shots, a lot of rebounds that we could have gotten, which was a lack of rebounding and boxing out in focus. So that played a part, and also we didn't specifically or individually own our matchups at the time. Nina Davis got off, Alexis Jones got off. The point guard had a very good assisting game, and the bigs really killed us. So just moving forward, we know that when we play Oregon State, we have to rebound, we have to box out, we have to own our matchup, and we also have to execute offensively, and that's what we're really going to focus on.
Yeah, like Shani said, I remember them getting a number of second shots that we could have prevented. So the rebounding was huge in that game. And then on offense, I just felt that we were pretty stagnant. We didn't really move much on offense to create open shots for ourselves. So I think we can learn from both of that that we need to do for other games in order to win.
Anything further for our student athletes? Okay, ladies, thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.